that you've lost your mind, you've lost their mind. They look to you for stability. They look for you to strength. And I think a lot of times now, parents, coaches, teachers, adults that serve in that role for young people are not exactly sure what that means on how to behave themselves. My father told me when we had our first child 27 years ago that I was a little bit nervous, and he said, look, just be consistent. Be consistently good or consistently bad. Just be consistent. And that's what these young people are looking for. They're looking for a consistent place in a very inconsistent world. And, you know, that goes back to that communication as a coach. You're communicating very clearly to a young person what the agenda is and how you want that carried out. And so it's really not difficult to understand.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Dave, with the communication piece. And that goes with coaches to coaches, coaches to players, players to players, and obviously to the parents and, of course, someone in your position as well and the school administration. So that, yes, a lot of dealings with communication is very important with those others that were mentioned. Dave, how have you seen coaches, and I know you've seen at least a handful, if not more, use life skills within their program or team?
You know, I might get kicked off the team for this. This is the one area that I've tried to coach coaches before a little bit on. But if there were one area that I think coaches spend a tremendous amount of time and rarely convert that fourth and short, is that trying to present their life in such a way that it's meaningful, inspirational, motivational to the young people. Number one, if you're an older coach and you talk about the sacrifices you made to play school back in the day, these kids have no idea what you're talking about. They oftentimes have not had those type of sacrifices. Doesn't mean they're not sacrificing. If I see so many coaches that live vicariously through their players, they would give anything just to play the game one more time, and they'd give anything to relive that. And each game really is a reliving of their athletic seasons. And so they try to instill in that young person that same feeling, but it doesn't come across. When I've seen it done really great is when a coach takes his or her non-athletic life skills, their non-athletic moments, and shares that. I recall, since you and I are talking, I recall several times where you would invite the team into your life in a certain way. It would have nothing to do with football, but it was about you. And it shows I think coaches are oftentimes afraid to be seen as vulnerable. They want to be seen as stoic, and they want to be seen as a rock. But quite honestly, that's not reality. We're all vulnerable. I think each year I say that it's about time for me to retire. Even this year, this past season, I was going to retire, and the parents and the players let me know that wasn't possible. And, after a while you worry, am I going to make that connection? Am I still going to be connected to the young people? So long as you're real, that's what they want. So your life skills that say, hey, when I was growing up, or hey, my family is facing this challenge, or whatever, that realness is that's what those players watch you deal with. When the players know that, I remember, I'll never forget the game that we played, and I don't know, maybe if it was your first victory or what it was, but you talked about your mom, and you were very emotional at that moment about your mom. That you can't connect with your team in a stronger way than letting them share that very special moment with you. And that connection and that bond, those are the life skills. They want to see how their coach dealt with that. They can figure out the sports. They want to see how their coach dealt with a personal loss. or a personal success? Did it go to your head? Did you become arrogant about it? Those are the life skills. That's when I see coaches really hit it and really make an impact on their players.
Before I go on, I just want to let the listeners know I didn't pay Dave to come on here and say those kind things, those kind words. So, but I really do appreciate that, Dave. And just to kind of piggyback off what you said, making it meaningful. The sport's going to take care of itself. The coaching, at least I hope, the coaches are able to teach the correct things, the proper ways of doing things. But making it meaningful, making those relationships come together, making one heartbeat almost, and understanding each other. I think that's so important, because going back to the part where you talked about these are the best days of your life, they're not going to be, but you're going to remember those, and you're going to have feelings for those. At least hopefully your coach and people in like Dave's role do this and make it meaningful enough to where they come back and see you, they write you letters, they call you, they text you, whatever the case may be. But they're always going to have that little connection, at least little connection to that program or that specific organization. And maybe it's just a couple people, maybe it's one person, maybe it's a handful, but making it meaningful, going back to, and that was, by the way, the first victory that I had at North. But to go back and, relive those days, not necessarily talking about specific plays, but remembering maybe that situation right there, after a blocked field goal to win the game, our first victory as I was the head coach there, and it was pretty emotional. I mean, guys were excited, and I saw my dad, and he was pretty emotional, and seeing, understanding what we had that connection. I knew exactly what he was thinking, and he knew what I was thinking, and to get to that point, and then things like that happen, and being around these kids all the time, and just opening your life to theirs. It doesn't have to be everything, but things like that will make a positive impact for them in the future is crucial, at least in my game plan.
It's certainly. I guess you're exactly right, Josh, that it's, the athletic component of it. I always say that if a coach is coaching on game day, they're screwed. A coach is managing resources on game day. You're coaching during practice, and you're managing resources on game day. And so these kids, most of the kids these athletes you're interacting with, they understand the fundamentals of the sport. They if it's football or baseball, whatever it is, they know what basically they're supposed to be doing. And so why don't they do that? I always love when I first got involved on the sidelines 10-some years ago. I used to love to hear the parents, up in the stands after the game and say, I can't believe that Coach Benjamin would have called that play. That's the stupidest play I've ever heard of. Little did they know that it was nothing even remotely like what you would have called in. It's just what happened. And it was the players' understanding at the time. Or, hey, maybe they saw something you couldn't see, and maybe they had the courage to step out and go a different direction. But it is that realness. I had a young player that just graduated. North had their graduation this past weekend, and a young man sent me a text about an hour before graduation. And, he's one of these guys that gave it all, but, he needed it probably more than it needed him. And and he appreciated the time and effort that was spent on him. And, maybe one of these young people that people would discount a little early and not think about it, being honest where we're at in the level that when people ask me about my school and they'll say, are you 3A, 4A, 5A? And I say, no, we're not even a capital A. We're like that little A. We're that small of a school, But that has nothing to do with heart, but in a program like ours, you're counting on everybody to wear several hats and to do several things. And that teaches them in life that you're not a prima donna. You all go out there together, and that's why with the team rope, we've done really that, no pun intended, that team rope really ties everything together with these guys, and they get to understand that a little bit better.
That's awesome. And I was going to ask you if you could share a story about how you or a coach has created a life skill opportunity that was a complete success. I know we've talked on a few of those. Do you have any others that come to mind?
Yeah, I think I guess for many years we did the Tonight We Ride program. When I first came to work with the team, it's the North Decatur Chargers, and none of the players knew what a charger was. And so I looked it up, and I explained to them that a charger was a horse that was built for battle, and that horse had one mission, and that was to carry its rider selflessly. It would sacrifice itself for the rider. And so we developed a program called Tonight We Ride, and the team would choose somebody in the community, whether from the football program or just in the community at large, and that they were going to ride for that night. They were going to give all of their effort for that person. And I will tell you that it was we did that for several years, and we would invite that person to the team dinner the week after we rode for them. And so the young men would present them with a plaque that had the score of the game. And it was difficult to present somebody with a plaque that did not have a victory on it. It was difficult for the person receiving that to articulate to the team what it meant for them. Sometimes the person we were riding for, in a couple of cases, actually passed away, and we would take the team, to the funeral or to the funeral home. And so that was a program that really got good traction. But if I were to say one thing I think every team should consider, and you're welcome to give people my contact information, and I will gladly work with any team that contacts me, is the team rope. We have a rope. It's about 100 feet long, and before the games, after the games, the team gathers on that rope, and we offer our thoughts, our prayers, our reflections on that rope throughout the season. And then if something happens during the season where we need to really step it up, and I guess that's one of the side things that I do, that unfortunately these young people do face tragedy, and we do lose students and parents, and that kind of falls to my duties to lead them or navigate them through that. But we will cut a piece of that rope off, and we will present that to the family that we're especially thinking about. But then at the end of the season, the seniors each cut a piece of that rope and take it with them. And the point behind the rope, it's a braided rope, and by itself, each strand of that rope is very weak, easily broken. But when woven together, and that's players, that's families, that's coaches, that's classmates, when all of that is woven together, it's almost impossible to break that rope. And so long as we stay connected, we stay woven together, then we're really an unbreakable force. But each strand is important. So that guy that never sees the field, he may be a tackling dummy every practice. The person that never takes the court, the person that never gets on base, they have something to do with that team. And so that team rope, it's a very moving thing for these young men and women to put their hand on the rope. And this was our first year to do it. And by the end of the season, probably halfway through the season, Coach said, we're going to need a bigger rope because we had so many people come down, parents and fans come down and get on the rope with us. And it was a very moving thing. So I think that's probably something every team should consider.
That's really, really amazing to have that, I don't even know the word to say, but bond, I guess, and understanding of those young athletes, student athletes, to figure out what that really means, that truly means, and instead of it just being a rope and